Well, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, July the 8th. The time is 7 p.m. Call to order this regular meeting of Town Council. I welcome all councilors are present, our CAO, Jeff Baker, Municipal Clerk, Kim Casely. Welcome to those who are watching online. And before we start, I want to acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory and is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship, and we pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Council, the agenda is before you. There are no additions or deletions that we have. If that's all right with you, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved by Councillor Toombs, or Councillor Glant, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Anyone have any declarations of conflict of interest in any of the topics that we have before us tonight? Councillor McCrae.
Thank you, Your Worship. Item 8.1.3. I declare a conflict of interest.
8.1.3. Okay, we'll try to remember when that comes up, and you can let me know and you can retire. All right, there are no other declarations. Then we'll move right along to the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes of June the 10th, 2024 are before you. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes of June the 10th, 2024? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt those minutes as presented. So moved by Councillor McCrae, seconded by Deputy Mayor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. What about business arising out of the minutes of June the 10th? Any business arising out of the minutes of June the 10th? Hearing none, we'll move right along to reports. The first report is the CAO's report. That report is before you. Are there any questions on the CAO's report? Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just with number 2, I know you just said that the heat pumps were installed just a few years ago. I just wanted to ask, was there a leak test performed, or was there any refrigerant added to the units before deciding we needed to install a new one? Do we know?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Baker.
Yeah, the unit was inspected before the mayor or I had gone over and met with the owners. It's just not a large enough system. Yeah.
Part of the problem is the extra refrigeration units in back there.
Was it a 12,000 that was installed?
It was a 48,000. So there's two. There's a 48,000 ton that's already there, but there's nothing in the back rooms, and that's where the problem was. Losing product, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay,
actually losing refrigeration units, losing fridges because it was so warm. It's like it's 45 degrees back there, but there's no refrigeration. Or no cooling, I should say.
Yeah. Thank you.
Correct, Mr. Baker. All right. Any other questions, Council? Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Worship. Just on number 14, the Credit Union Center gates access there. Just pleased to see that have been installed on the street portions of it and the parking lot end. But there was a chain put up from on Lowther Street end of it, across from the gate, that takes you over to the baseball field fence or the softball field fence, and that chain has since been unhooked or taken down and is laying on the ground. And I was down there a couple of nights ago. I drove by again tonight just to see if it was still down, and it is. Apparently someone took it down so they could drive in, so I was wondering if that chain could be made a little more secure and perhaps a sign put on it to say no traffic beyond this point or something. You'd think the other big sign would do the trick, but apparently not.
Right on. Okay. Mr. Baker's got a note of that, and he'll be following up. Any other questions, Council, on the CAO's report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the report as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The next report is the Fire Department Statistical Report. That report is before you, Council. Any questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Councillor Doucette, seconded by Councillor McCrae. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The next report is the Police Department Statistical Report. That report is before you. Are there any questions on the Police Department report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Deputy Mayor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we are now into the Development Permit Summary Report. That report is before you. Any questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, we'll jump for the bills and the other information, as we don't have any right now, to the Credit Union Center report. That report is before you. Are there any questions on the Credit Union Center report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The Mayor's report is the next report. Any questions on the Mayor's report? Before we go into accepting it, you probably saw the question I had on Imperial Street, and any feedback, any thoughts, Council, on that street from a safety point of view? And Mr. Baker, I think I don't know if you have any comments on it or not. You've always Councillor Glant, go right ahead.
Thank you. I was trying to get it open here, but my computer keeps shutting off, so I haven't got it up. But when I read it there this morning, I was is there still a plan to close it off? And I'm actually in favor of closing that street off. Personally, I think it'd be a good idea to have that shut off there and keep the traffic from going through there. I'm not sure what would take place in the winter. It might be when it comes to snow, but I think having it shut off and just look. I was actually down there this morning when I was out for a walk, and I was looking at it, and I think it would be more of a benefit to have it shut off than have traffic going through there now, especially since it's so busy around the train station and with parking and so on, and the pedestrians that are using the trail, both biking and walking. I just think it would be beneficial to have it closed off. Thank you.
Councillor Toombs?
Well, I disagree with Councillor Glant. I don't think we should be blocking it off. I know I use it quite a bit even myself and walk through there, and there's some traffic, certainly there is, but I've never had even any problem getting across there when walking with the dog and my wife, and a lot of times even driving up through there. Sometimes it's nice to have a little way for the locals to slip up through, with avoiding sometimes Main Street and that all year round and things like that. So, and also in the winter it would make it tougher for plows got to come down and sand trucks have to come down and somehow get turned, and it's not like there's a cul-de-sac down at one end or whatever. I like it even for the locals. It's always nice having a little back way for a lot of the local people to slip up and slip down and through, and kind of sometimes just even a back way for some of the businesses around there. You can slip out the back way all the way,
Any other comment? Deputy Mayor Spencer?
Thank you, Your Worship. My concern with closing it off would be the density of housing that's there and only the one access, and I'm just thinking for emergency traffic and that having to funnel everything out from the Station View Estates Way to School Street could be a bit of an issue there. I don't know for sure. I think it also just in traffic flow with the ability for someone in Station View right now, if they're heading like to Summerside, let's say, they're able to sort of go around behind the Haunted Mansion and out Francis Street out to Route 2. If they're coming back, they could turn off at the funeral home and come down School Street. It sort of provides a loop, I guess, and I'm just concerned about the traffic flow patterns and emergency traffic.
Any other comments, Council? Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I certainly there was some great points raised, obviously. But I see some benefits, obviously, to both sides. But as Deputy Mayor Spencer was saying too, the way that the houses are laid out on that street, I feel like it would kind of be difficult on where to kind of split it or where to close it off. Do you know what I mean? Would we have a plan or any ideas off the top of our heads as where it would be?
Well, I think if it was going to be closed off,
On
it would
School
probably
Street
be right at
completely?
the bottom of the street. I mean, this is a discussion, so I mean, at
Yeah,
this stage of the
exactly.
game, it would be to prevent people from going, to protect people that are on the Confederation Trail.
Yeah, certainly.
So you'd have to wait and, you couldn't go beyond the last, or you could go a little bit beyond the last driveway, but
Yeah.
you gotta
No.
go at least to the last driveway, so which would be, the last driveway is what, 30 or 40 feet from the end of it, maybe, Mr. Baker?
Probably close to it. So I think what we initially looked at, again, when we were working under the assumption that the greater majority of the roadway there was actually owned by the property owner there, and we're not so sure that that's actually the case, based on the survey plan. But I think the initial plan was that we would close it off kind of at the intersection of Imperial Street and the rail yard, so right at the base of that hill. And then that section of Imperial Street would really be local traffic only.
Okay.
Again, there's a number of issues around it, all great points that were brought up specifically as it relates to service vehicles, especially getting garbage trucks, anything of that nature. If we were to allow such a development now, we would require a cul-de-sac at the end of a dead-end street. So when Rosewood Drive was extended, we mandated a cul-de-sac so service vehicles could turn around. Same thing at the end of Brookins Drive.
But, the end of North Street, some of the ones that we currently have, North Street, there's no cul-de-sac. We do have situations where these do exist, and the only reason to mention is the safety of the pedestrians in the summertime more than anything else.
It's a
big discussion.
disorganized
Yeah.
area
Yeah.
at the back of the rail yards. It's a very disorganized area. We had painted some lines there and painted a crosswalk
Yes.
there, which hadn't been done before either, just to try and make it a little safer for people. Ultimately, my long-term preference for that area would be to shut that entire section down and to make it a part of the rail yards in the long term. That's not a feasible thing to do right now. The liquor store, Kent Building Supplies, the Island Stone Pub, they all rely on that back access really to
Supply.
for trucks to get in there and back up in there. So it's
If
Worth
the-
worth a discussion for sure, though. It's, like you said, great points made.
Well, and initially, we thought that wasn't even gonna be a discussion because the property owner owned
right.
half the road. But our survey indicates that that's not the case. They are questioning that survey, mind you, and they're going to come back with their survey. There may be,
Yeah, we'll know more.
there may be
know more then,
something
maybe.
down the road, maybe something that comes up that, this raises its head again, but at this stage of the game, it's good to have some discussion on it, be thinking of it, and like I say, if we were to do this, what is the process? Well, number one, we wouldn't be doing anything until we settle with the landowner that they actually don't own what they think they own.
Exactly.
And if there happens to be a dispute between our surveyor and their surveyor, well, that's another whole different issue. We'll deal with that one first.
That's right. Yep.
Councillor Glant?
Thank you, Worship, and I spoke in favor of closing it if possible, and I still feel that way, but I mean, if it's left open, it's certainly not going to bother me a whole lot either. But just on the residential being so condensed, as Councillor Spencer mentioned, I mean, you look at Lyons Drive, you look at Maple Avenue or Maple Street and Chestnut Street, they're all fairly condensed, right? And there's only one way in out of those places, so.
Yeah, we do, I think the biggest issue with all of those, and not so much the egress and everything, but it's the turning of service vehicles and that. And be honest with you, Mr. Baker and I have talked with this. We may, as a council, say we want the province to look at this because they'd be part of the discussion. The province may come back and say no. So we don't know, but we're not at the stage of moving forward in that direction at this stage of the game. So I think it's just food for thought at this stage of the game, and I wanted to draw to your attention that if it comes back that the landowner does not own what they think they own, and it may be something that council wants to take a look at in the future and be thinking about it, because there are some safety issues and concerns through that whole area down there that, because I know I've been down there when there's been just the opposite to what Councillor Toombs has been saying, where there's people walking and it can be it's a long area where people are walking through there. And I was down there the other day, and to be honest with you, I was coming through Imperial, coming down there, and I had to stop and wait for traffic with somebody with a baby carriage. Anyway, it's food for thought. Yes, Deputy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one question. The surveyor that the town used is Locust Survey?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Rose, yeah.
certainly should be an accurate survey then. Thank you.
Yeah. Everybody can make mistakes, as we all recognize, is what we said to the landowner, that there's no, we think we're right. And somebody else may say they don't think we're right. And if that becomes the case, then that becomes, well, I'm not sure. We won't cross that bridge until we have to. If there's a dispute, you know what that gets into? Lawyers and legal and trying to figure it all out. And that's not going to be us figuring it out. Maybe the legal society, probably somewhere along the line, and maybe even a judge at some point, but we hope it doesn't get to that. All right. Any other questions on the mayor's report, council? Yes, Councillor Toombs, pardon me.
Just about the engine, have you heard anything more about?
Yeah, I was going to mention that in my other remarks. I have received an email just on Friday. They think Department of Transportation is looking to try to get the engine painted hopefully within a month. So that's where there's no promises, but that's the latest as of Friday morning or Friday afternoon. I forget when I got the email. And at the same time, I'm trying to get them to push to get the storyboards replaced as well. But they have given us permission to remove the ones that are damaged, that not even fit to look at, or damaged on. So that, and Mr. Baker has, I think, I was supposed to go out and mark them off, wasn't I? Yeah, I still got some work to do. I got to point out which ones are bad, and then he was going to give them to Public Works to remove them. So, yeah, I know. They put up 12. There's only 11 standing right now because one has already been removed because it was damaged to bad. And probably I would say that at least half of them are probably going to have to come down, and maybe even more than that. But
is that also the train station ones or just ours?
All of ours are being replaced.
Yeah, it's, for whatever reason, it seems like the town ones faded worse than even some of the. It all seems the same stuff, but
yeah, no, well, they're not really.
Well, to look at it, they look like the same type of material.
Yeah, well, we had the graphic designer out there, and they're going to be done with a different material, stronger material, with a different design as well. There's reasons why they didn't last, and they're not. They look the same, but they're not exactly the same. And the other recommendation that is that we have them put them all, and this is a request from the Trail Society, that we have them all on one side and a little farther back from the trail, because the groomer, when you have them both sides, the groomer has a hard time to get through, which has caused some of the damage. So the recommendation from the installer is that we put them all on one side, which will be the south side, with the sun facing the north, or from the north, and that'll make them last a lot longer and a lot better as well. So that's what's being worked on right now. I got that all right, Mr. Baker? Did I
Sounds like you have a
summarize
well
it
in
right?
hand. Yeah, we're waiting on a quote.
Yeah.
That's what we're waiting
Right.
on at this point.
And that hasn't come in yet, has it? Okay. All right. So let's hope that the transportation are coming forward. They've already had somebody out to look at the train. I know that. And we're just waiting. I think they're waiting for a quote. If I'm not mistaken, don't have the email in front of me. I think they're waiting for a quote to paint the train. I think that's where it stood at the last right now, and they're hoping to have it done within a month.
Did you say transportation?
Transportation and infrastructure are going to, that's what it said in there, that's where they get their money from. So, if I'm remembering correct, if I'm remembering wrong, please forgive me, but I think I'm remembering right, and I don't have the email in front of me right now. All right, any other questions, council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to receive and adopt the report. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by, who had their hand up? Deputy Mayor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. All right, we'll move right along to the Federation of PEI Municipalities. Councillor Mann, do you have anything to report? Or you take a holiday for the summer?
Yeah, we're off on holidays here for the summer anyway. I'm trying to think if we had anything since our last meeting. No, I don't think we have, so.
All right, good. That's a report.
Yeah.
Report from the Councillor McRae for the Kensington Area Chamber of Commerce. Anything there?
Thank you, Your Worship. We had our last meeting in June, but we're done for the summer also. So no, I don't think there's anything to report.
Okay, thank you. Heard of PEI, Deputy Mayor Spencer.
Thank you, Your Worship. There is a meeting scheduled for early August to review the survey that they've had, but there's nothing, I've not attended the meeting yet.
Yeah, right. All right, thank you. Councillor Gland.
Thank you, Worship. Councillor Spencer, representing the heart of PEI. Just going to make a couple of points regarding, I think it's great we have these here storyboards on the trail, as you all know, and it's a great idea. But I had a couple of individuals, and I kind of agree with them, I guess, to a certain extent. They're a great add to the town. Would there be any, and this is just a thought, you could take it back to the heart of PEI, and I suppose the town would have to agree as well, but would there be any thought of having them more centralized down by the train station in different areas where people would see them a lot more, other than up behind the credit union and over here? I know some people see them, but not near the amount of people that would see them in the immediate area, like, you know, people that are just visiting there or down there for events such as Canada Day and, you know, any other, the concerts, summer concerts and so on. So just a thought. Had a couple of people bring that up to me, and I said I'd bring it up at one of our meetings. Actually, it was a couple of meetings ago, and I never thought of it again until we were talking about signage there tonight, or our signs. So just a thought, and maybe you could just run it by them, and it's something to maybe think about anyway, if they could be moved or not, and be much more visible. Thanks.
If I could comment on that, actually the town had requested that that's where they go, so we try to spread them out more along the trail. There was going to be the heart of PEI ones here, then the railway would be next, and then the agriculture ones that the town did next. So the plan was to try to get more and more along the whole trail, so rather than having them all jammed in together. So the town had actually requested of heart of PEI to put them there. So that's why they are located in that section. And that's from history point of view, so I was on the committee then. And I think it was discussed at the time when we agreed to put money into them, that's where they'd be put, so.
Probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on to new business. The first new business is a request for decision number 26, which is the Canada Community Building Fund. The gas tax is what we normally know it as, which is a reprofiling of it. The information is before you, Council. Do you understand everything that is being presented? Any questions? Councillor Mann.
No, thank you, Worship. So I imagine this is just probably a tip of the iceberg. Do we know what, we have an estimate of what it would cost to completely service that property?
Out there?
Out there, yeah.
I thought it was in there. The estimate was 295, 314, 25. That was the estimate. So there's pretty well enough to cover it, unless it comes in a little bit more than that. I don't think the tender is just planning to go out this week, Am I correct in that, Mr. Baker? I think you had it in your report.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it went out on Friday. If not Friday, then I believe tomorrow. Yeah. But I believe it was to go out on Friday.
So we're anticipating the 304,000 will be enough to cover it. We're hoping it is anyway, if the WSP estimate is reasonably close.
So so it's important to note that the $295,000 cost estimate includes a 15% contingency, but does not include engineering. So engineering would typically run around 20%. For a project of this magnitude, it would likely be a little lower than that, more in the tune of 14 to 15%. But
So anyway, we're hoping there's enough there to cover it. Any other questions, Council? Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. Not really a question here, but on number 6, just where we're taking the, or reallocating the funds there from the sidewalk improvements on Broadway. I know it's necessary, completely understood, and I'm in total agreement of what we got to do here, but I just wanted to stress the importance of, I guess, allocating those funds in the next CCBF just because of the safety issues with those there on that busy street. That's all I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, and just from a history point of view, if the surveying, it has to be, the big holdup right now, I think, is still the properties all have to be surveyed along there to try and find out where the poles can be put, and that still hasn't been done, and then we have to deal with Alliant, I believe. So it's not going to get done this year anyway, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so but the plan is, as I think Mr. Baker's putting in, the plan is to move this, put these projects into our next we'll call it gas tax
Yeah.
allocation, not eliminate them, it's just that we're not going to spend it now.
No,
we'll spend it this
I
year.
understood. Yeah,
Correct,
I
Mr.
understood.
Baker?
yeah, absolutely. There's a
Completely
couple of
understood.
projects that it pained me to recommend taking the money out
Yeah.
of. The playground upgrades
So-
was the other one. And the relocation of the power poles was the other one.
No, completely understood, though. I didn't mean anything by it other than.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
no, they're still,
Yeah.
we still want to get them done. It's just that we need the money today for this, and we'll try to get them done because we're not ready, they're realistically not going to get done this year anyway, because we're still waiting on other things, so. All right, any other questions, Council? Councillor Gallant?
Thank you. Just on that as well, when that whole development took place, or was to take place back a few months ago, originally, the
Are we
developer
talking,
was
which
gonna,
development are we talking, the
we're talking about the one that.
Frosty Street? Okay, yeah.
Originally, wasn't it all going to be under the developer, and then that changed? I think we brought up at another meeting one time. I can't remember the details on that. Is that correct or not?
Well, I think when it was initially questioned of me, my response would have been that my assumption is that it's going to be assumed by the development, but we hadn't had detailed conversations at that point with the developer. And so when we sat down and talked to the developer and looked at the value of the development, the request was made that we extend the water and sewer. Which would be typical.
Typically, we would do, that's normal practice anyway, correct?
Typically, what we would do is run one water and one sewer connection to a development. There's some provisions within the Water and Sewer Act on the extension of services where services don't currently exist, but that would mean more like, say, for example, when we're looking at Ranchland Estates development, there's no water and sewer in that development, but we would run one water and one sewer to the development, and then they would take it from there and extend it within the property.
Any other questions, Council? Okay, hearing none, who wants to read into the record the recommendation? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Spencer.
Be it resolved, the Town Council authorize the CAO to proceed with reallocation of funds within the town's current Canada Community Building Fund gas tax capital investment plan as follows. $44,906.57 from the Playground Equipment Roy Painter Park Project to the Victoria Street West Infrastructure Extension Project, $22,464.33 from the Active Transportation System Extension Project to the Victoria Street West Infrastructure Extension Project, $236,658.21 from the Sidewalk Improvements and Replacement Project to the Victoria Street West Infrastructure Extension Project. The Town Council understands that all future operational costs associated with and resulting from the project will be the responsibility of the Town of Kensington.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Toombs, I believe, first. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Let's move along to request for decision number 27, which is a resolution to support the GP development application to the Municipal Infrastructure Fund. That information is before you. Are there any questions or clarification needed on the request for decision, Council? Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. I know it's early at this juncture, but I was just wondering if there was any word on what exactly the developer had planned to go. Were they just doing the lots, or was there duplexes mentioned, or was it residential? Is that too early? Or
Yeah, this is the subdivision, development of the subdivision.
It's just development. There was no talk of them.
It's not.
Yeah, no.
It's not even the approval of the subdivision. It's the supporting them moving forward with the funding.
Yep, no, for
but
sure.
we haven't even approved there's no approval to the final subdivision design. Correct, Ms. Baker? Do you have anything to add on that?
No, there is no approval to the subdivision at this point. The entire property is zoned R2.
Yes. Yeah.
But I have been made aware that 2 or 3 of the lots may need to be rezoned to multi-unit resident, or they may be looking to have a few of the lots rezoned to multi-unit residential. But right now, the entire property is zoned R2.
Yeah. Perfect.
And that would be another whole process.
Yeah, for
right
sure.
now, this is strictly to support them to get the funding.
Yep.
Any other questions, Council? Hearing none, who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Toombs, go right ahead.
Whereas the town of Kensington recognizes the need for expanded residential housing to accommodate the growing population and to support the economic development of our community. And whereas GP Developments, Inc. has proposed the Ranchland Estates residential subdivision project, which is designed to provide housing options and includes the construction of 86 residential lots, associated infrastructure, and green spaces. And whereas the total cost of the Ranchland Estates residential subdivision project, as proposed by GP Developments Incorporated, is estimated to cost $7,719,958.51. And whereas the infrastructure constructed as part of the Ranchland Estates residential subdivision project will be owned by the town of Kensington upon completion. And whereas the town council acknowledges the importance of and commitments to maintaining, operating, and ensuring the infrastructure associated with the Ranchland Estates residential subdivision project to ensure its sustainability and the safety and well-being of its residents. Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council hereby express its full support for the Ranchland Estates residential subdivision project developed by GP Developments Incorporated, and acknowledges that the total project cost is estimated at $7,719,958.51. Be it further resolved that Kensington Town Council commits to the ongoing maintenance, operation, and insurance of the water, sewer, and street infrastructure associated with the Ranchland Estates residential subdivision project, ensuring that all necessary resources are allocated to sustain the infrastructure and to protect the interests and safety of the community.
Thank you, Councillor Toombs. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Doucette. Any discussion, Council? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving right along to request for decision number 28, which is the land use and development bylaw amendment to change the zoning. This is the one, Councilor McCray, you requested to be excused from. You will recognize that now, and we will see you in a few minutes. Thank you. Councillor Doucette, would you close my office door, please? You might want to just make sure it's unlocked first so we can get it open again. Perfect. Okay, council, oh, this isn't the right one, is it? Am I the wrong one here? Oh, I closed it, sorry. Just give me a minute here, I'll open it up. If I can just find it, there it is. Okay, this is the property out on 23 Broadway. Council, are there any questions, clarification needed? Any discussion? Councillor Toombs.
Thank you, Your Worship. So it's 2 lots, one is already commercial, correct?
Correct,
So this is the one the house is on?
correct.
Okay. And have we had any more letters come in? There was talk there, remember, after the public meeting, just curious if any, okay,
No.
thank you.
Any other questions, council? Hearing none, who wants to read resolution number 1? These look like ones that Councillor Mann always likes to read. He likes the long ones. What? Well, what? Councillor Mann, what? Yeah, we saved these double ones for him.
Well, thank you, Worship. Whereas a request has been received from the prospective owners of property not located at 23 Broadway Street South, PID number 77768, to rezone the property from its current multi-unit residential R3 zoning designation to commercial C1 to facilitate the construction of a commercial development on the property. And whereas the application is supported by the current owner, seller of the property. And whereas a public meeting to solicit comments, feedback from the public was held on June 26, 2024, in accordance with the PEI Planning Act and the town's Land Use and Development Bylaw. And whereas town staff have evaluated the application in consultation with DVA Consulting and are recommending the town council proceed with the Land Use and Development Bylaw amendment. Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council give first reading to amend the Land Use and Development Bylaw to rezone PID number 77768, located at 23 Broadway Street South, from its current multi-unit residential R3 designation to commercial C1 to facilitate the construction of commercial development on the property.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Do we have somebody who wants to second the first reading? Seconded by Councillor Toombs. Any discussion on first reading? All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, let the record reflect that 4 are approval, and Councillor Rousette is opposed, and Councillor McCrae is not in attendance. Councillor, okay, Mr. Baker.
No, I wanted to, technical issue. Before you read the final part of the resolution in the second resolution, so before you say be it resolved that, could you add, and whereas this bylaw amendment was read a first time at this meeting? You remember that?
No. Can't even type it in.
We'll put our hand up and Mr. Baker will add those words if you don't remember them.
Yeah.
And what's the wording?
Whereas this bylaw amendment was read a first time at this meeting. Sorry, I just noticed that.
Should that be in the first one as well?
No,
No.
because the first one is giving
Oh,
first
right.
reading. The second one is indicating that first reading was, it's a semantic at the end of the day, but the provincial planning office is extremely technical about these things.
All right. Are you ready, Councillor Mann, to proceed?
I guess.
All right, resolution number 2, which is for the formal adoption, formal first reading.
Whereas a request has been received from the prospective owners of a property located at 23 Broadway Street South, PID number 77768, to rezone the property from its current multi-unit residential R3 zoning designation to commercial C1 to facilitate the construction of a commercial development on the property. And whereas the application is supported by the current owner, seller of the property, and whereas a public meeting to solicit comments, feedback from the public was held on June 26, 2024, in accordance with the PI Planning Act and the town's land use and development bylaw. And whereas town staff have evaluated the application in consultation with DVA Consulting and are recommending the town council proceed with the land use development bylaw amendment. And whereas this bylaw amendment was read a first time at this meeting, be it resolved that Kensington Town Council formally approve and adopt first reading to amend the land use and development bylaw to rezone PID number 77768, located at 23 Broadway Street South, from its current multi-unit residential R3 designation to commercial C1 to facilitate the construction of commercial development on the property.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Councilor Mann, seconded by Deputy Mayor Spencer. All right, Council, any questions, clarification needed? Councilor Gland.
Just one question regarding access. I would assume this still all has to go through Transportation and Public Works for access, even though these readings are
Yeah,
in
Mr.
place.
Baker has already got some feedback. Mr. Baker?
Yeah, so the province will have to approve an entranceway permit for the development, but we did get an email back from Transportation that that section of the highway is an infill area, and as such, they do not oppose the change of use of the property. I don't know if that answers your question, but
So it's, what's it called, an infield area?
infill, IN-FILL, it's an infill area, yeah.
Okay, my other question, would they consider, where the entrance, would they know, or would they consider where the entrance is going to be? Would it be right where the driveway is now, that current property, do you think? Or would it be up farther, or lower, or down farther towards?
I don't know ultimately. I mean, we have some concept plans that they put forward at the public meeting that showed where it could potentially go. Ultimately, they will have to develop a development plan for the property. They'll have to submit that to the province for approval, and the province will ultimately dictate where the entrance and exit is permitted to be placed.
Okay, and I suppose you don't really know this at this point in time, with that access, would there ever be consideration for a left-hand turning lane? I guess that's my other question.
That's a great suggestion, but you're right. I ultimately don't know. I mean, we can certainly ask for something like that there. I don't know if the road's wide enough. I don't know what's possible, what's not possible there. But we can certainly put that forward as a consideration. Yep.
One of the things we might want to do as a town is just for traffic coming in, maybe get a sign up that says caution hidden driveways or something like that ahead, it might slow people down if the light doesn't, the flashing light doesn't, but some people, it doesn't make any difference what you do.
I guess my opinion would be, I'm in support of the development, because I think it's, with who's putting it there and so on, and it's, they're going to develop somewhere, so obviously they've outgrown where they're at now. And I don't think it's going to, there isn't going to be a lot more traffic than what's coming in there now because of this development, but the possibility of a left-hand turning lane would be one suggestion that I would think would help if it's possible. And depending on where the entrance is, with Barrett Street coming out, there's always, I suppose, the possibility, if it's close enough to Barrett Street, they're putting a second set of lights in Kensington.
Mr. Baker?
No, I was just going to say, so it's kind of outside a little bit of what we're talking about here, because we're just talking about whether or not we support the intensification of use of that particular property. When they do come forward, or when they are ready to move forward with a development, they do have to come to us for a development permit. They have to go to the province with a building permit, and certainly the entranceway permit for the province will be a condition on the issuance of a development permit for us. That's a good time for us to start talking about
Yeah, you're still on.
those things.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Spencer was next.
Thank you, Your Worship. In our official plan, it would have guidance for a building of this size and use for how many parking stalls are required, would it? And is the 22 that is sufficient, according?
Well, it's sufficient based on 6,600 square feet,
Okay.
which is what they're proposing to be the size of the building. So
Right.
under our bylaws, 6,600 square feet of, I can't remember what they define it as, but would require 22 parking spaces.
Okay, so this is just meeting.
This is just the minimum at this point.
Right.
Yeah. And again, so they don't even have the land use approved at this point, so I would suggest the dollars that they are willing to invest in the creation of a detailed
Right.
development plan
Okay.
is
keep in
not there
mind-
at this
yeah,
point.
And keep in mind, we're not approving the development permit. We're approving just the rezoning of it. So, Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I could be way out here too with this one now that we just discussed that. But was there ever, or could there ever be an opportunity to have the entrance off of Park Road, like Snake Road, sorry? Just where they have the equipment come through from Kensington Ag there, that access, kind of right in between them two lots, really, if I'm looking correctly, or maybe I'm off, but I just wasn't sure if that was an idea or not, or if it was ever discussed.
But no,
We don't
I don't.
know.
I
Yeah.
certainly don't think it's ever been discussed. No, as to whether or not there's any potential for that, and I don't know if there is or not off the top of my head. We certainly wouldn't say no to anything, and we always keep an open mind to different ways of doing things. So that may be a potential.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we did as a collective, as a community, adopted an official plan which indicated that primarily due to the fact that we are a growing community,
Absolutely.
that our core area does have to expand.
Yeah, understood.
There's really no way around it for us as our population continues to grow, and so as a community we did propose, and ultimately council approved, that we would look at the north side of Victoria Street West as a future commercial area, and the east side of Broadway Street South as a future commercial area. I think having an access there, I don't think it's going to be a hidden driveway per se. I think it'll be well signed. They'll have entrance signs there, and from my perspective, it will actually slow traffic down coming into the community. So I think if there's a positive to grab from that, that may be it, but I think it'll do, it's kind of a little bit like we talked about earlier with behind the rail yards. It's like, yeah, there's a traffic issue there, but it's also what we would call when we were looking at Commercial Street, what did I call it? It was a give-way area, so
Yeah.
really, traffic kind of has to slow down to give way to other traffic, and those types of areas are generally safer in nature as opposed to two-way traffic being able to give her both ways, so.
Councillor, are you finished, Councillor?
Yeah, that's good.
Councillor
Thank you.
Coombs?
Just about, as far as parking, when the time comes, they've got so much room there, they could add 3 times the amount of parking, and I don't think the other way would probably be feasible, because I don't think they want to go across the trail anyways, coming from, if you look where it is, right, that'd be the,
I just think there's a couple lots that are paved over the trail, maybe on the outskirts of town.
There's a couple that go across, yeah. Yeah.
All right, any other questions, council? Moved and seconded? All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? Oh, all those in, we'll vote again. All those, all those in favor? All, everybody's unanimous, sorry. Sorry. That was moving it. Are you in favor of it or opposed?
Just to move to the, sorry.
There's a formally approve and adopt first reading.
Right, so it's been moved and seconded already, so he was calling votes for.
So I thought I already voted for that prior.
That was the
No,
first
that was
resolution.
just- That was,
Yeah.
that was just to, it's, just, this is new to you, to, what we do is, part of the formal process, we have to have a resolution to read it, and then we have a resolution to adopt it. So the first one is just to read it, the second one is to actually adopt it. So now that we're clear, I'll just call for the vote again. All those in favor of adopting the first reading? All those opposed? All right. Now we'll let the record reflect that 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Councillor Doucette is opposed. All right. Then, Councillor Doucette, perhaps could you go and let Councillor McCrae in, please? Sorry for the confusion.
Oh, that's my bad.
All right. Moving right along to request for decision number 29, which is a home occupation request on 29 Pleasant Street. That information is before you. Are there any questions or clarification needed, Council? Hearing none, who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Doucette.
Be it resolved, the town council approve a request from Rebecca Sear to operate a home occupation dog grooming business out of property located at 29 Pleasant Street, subject to full compliance with the town of Kensington land use and development.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Toombs. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Let's move right along to other matters. Number one, I wanted to, some of you may or may not know, but our manager of finance, Nancy McCrae, the death that was out in Springfield there, that was her cousin. And our fire department were first on the scene when that accident occurred. That's one where the four vehicles were involved. And her family, it was during the funeral service, the Kensington Fire Department was first recognized and thanked for their professionalism and being first on the scene and what they did. And she wanted to convey to us that it was recognized by the family, that our Kensington Fire Department was well recognized for their professionalism at that accident, and they wanted to thank them. So we wanted to make that public. The other thing is, well, I've already updated on the train station and the storyboard. I'm going to be away from the 16th to the 23rd, so if you're looking for me, I won't be there, but I'm as near as the phone. Reminder as well that the public meeting for the property off Douglas Street is on July the 24th at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. So I think you've probably all been advised of that already. Are there any other matters that you folks have? Council? Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. I just have a few things here. In fact, one, I just kind of noticed, I was walking over to Reed's ballgame the other night, and I noticed like the eaves trough actually right directly above the solar panels on the Credit Union Center. They seem to be leaking in like several different areas just on each seam. Anyway, it is kind of running down alongside the panels, and it's like creating like a stain of some. Anyway, I just did some quick research. I don't know if that affects the performance, but it almost looks like there's some surface rust too on the outer exterior just from the water dripping down. And it might just be a simple fix to get those sealed, just something I saw. And I have a couple other things. The gates by the ball field, I know Councillor Glenn actually already brought that up. And it's unfortunate actually about the chain side of things, because there was a lot of good compliments of it at that ball game there, Reed's ball game last Friday. A lot of parents were happy to see that, you know, the kids could kind of play freely around there without the traffic. So just wanted to make a note on that. And also, there's a couple other things at the fitness center. A couple were brought to my attention. One I actually noticed because I finally started attending the fitness center myself. There was, I noticed the window was broken. I just had, I was wondering if we had a time frame on that. I noticed when I was there, like the sill around it had gotten some water come in that could lead to further damage. Just something to keep an eye on, I guess.
I think it's been ordered, they're waiting for delivery, aren't they? Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And the last thing, I attempted to get a drink just out of the Gatorade machine. Anyway, it had said it was out of order or whatever, but there was a gentleman standing beside me that said it's his exact words were, "It's been empty forever." So I don't know if
The what?
the Gatorade machine that's at the top
What,
upstairs at the gym.
Oh,
Yeah, his words were, "It's been empty forever." So I don't know if we don't have it full, we shouldn't really have it plugged in, or find a better spot for that. That's all.
okay. All right.
That's
Thank you.
that's all I had, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any, Counselor Toombs?
This was to do with Canada Day. I'd just like to say I thought it was great. We went through a whack of hot dogs. We put the pretty people up front to get the hot dogs there with Councillor Glant and McCrae, and the rest of us slogged with dogs. So I think we went through 600 hot dogs, and anybody I talked to thought it was great. So
Thank you.
good, and also to thank all the town staff involved, and from cooking the hot dogs and lugging everything back and forth. So
Thank you. Any, Counselor McCrae?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a couple of things, is the garbage cans. Saturday morning, the garbage can down by the clock was like totally overflowing. There was garbage all over the place. So my husband and I actually picked up the garbage and put it in the can, but the can was so full, it wouldn't hold it.
Down by where?
Down by the clock.
Oh, by the clock. Okay.
And behind the Frosty treat, the garbage along there is crazy. Like, it's just behind the building, whether it's flying out of their garbage cans or people are eating and just throwing their empty dishes into the ditch and stuff. But there was an awful lot of garbage along that area on the weekend. So I'm just thinking, like, you know, if there's a way we could contact them and just say, try and keep it a little cleaner, because the rest of the trail's perfect. It's just from that one area, like, it was bad.
All right.
That's everything I got.
Note. I think Deputy Mayor Spencer, I think, was next.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Your lights, your speaker's not on. Let me see if I can get you on. Well, you're showing that you're on now, so I don't know. Oh, there.
Thank you, Your Worship.
I don't know why you're not on. It's showing that you're on here, but
Yeah. Two questions. Number one, we talked about 2 or 3 months ago about the Greco and Subway building, and they were supposed to have concrete parking barriers. And I wasn't sure if that was something that was a condition on the occupancy of the building. No, okay. But it is something that they had agreed to at one point, is that correct? Yeah, so just didn't know if...
I think Mr. Baker, do you have anything further on that? The last I heard that they weren't planning on doing anything about it. Did you hear that?
Did not hear that. No.
Perhaps you could talk to the chief, because I was asking him about it, and I don't think they were going to do anything about it.
Okay, I was not aware of that. No, I have not heard that.
Sorry.
Okay.
I guess I asked the chief and didn't ask you.
I thought weren't we in a meeting with the chief last week in the morning when he had talked about that? And maybe it was more than last week, but I thought he indicated he was going to reach out to him.
Well, yeah. Well, it's been about a year ago now. He was going to reach out to them, and they were supposed to put some sort of a barrier up. I thought they were going to get something from Campbell's Concrete and put up so the trucks couldn't back up, because right now they're still backing up. and their tailgates and trailer hitches are right out blocking the sidewalk. So something has to be done, whether they put something where the truck wheels can't go over, or a little curb or something. There's gonna have to be something done, so maybe we have to write them a letter.
Okay.
Can we leave that with Mr. Baker to follow up with the chief and
Okay.
find out what steps we might be able to take?
The second thing, I was on our town website, and there's a spot where we used to be able to click and see how the turbine was doing. That isn't active now. It takes you to a page not found. I wasn't sure if it can be reactivated, because it was of interest, I thought, to people to see. But also, I wondered if, with the new solar, if that's something that we can track, and be nice to be able to show folks, this is what we're able to do environmentally, for the town to, if we have a tracking ability, and if we can link it to our website.
Mr. Baker, I don't know if you have any answers on that?
No, the turbine tracking, that hasn't been active in at minimum 6 years.
Okay.
Yep. So that was let go of a long time ago. Yeah.
That was when the company went bankrupt, wasn't it? Changed
I think
ownership or
initially, yeah, before the company got sold, yeah. And whether it's possible through the solar, I'm not sure. I can get Robert to look into it and see what's possible there, yeah.
something. And it would be part of, if it is, it'll probably be part of the new website that's coming at some point. We probably wouldn't put it on the old website. We'll put that on our potential.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Councillor Toombs, I think, were you next? Did you have anything, or did you finish?
It was just to do with Councillor McCrae's with the garbage. The Frost Street used to have a garbage can or two back there, and then I don't know when they stopped, but that probably made quite a difference. So I don't know, was it last year, the year before? They used to have it there and cleaned up, but then all of a sudden, now there's nothing back there, so.
All right, Mr. Baker will follow up on that. Councillor Deland.
Mine was the main thing. Councillor McCrae, actually, I seen the garbage down by the clock in that area full the other morning. Is there a plan in place for the weekends, like if it's a Saturday and or Sunday, especially when it's busy around there? Is there someone checking them to make sure they're nothing right now? Because sometimes it seems that's when they fill up, is on the weekends, and I know there's people that eat out and they sit at the picnic tables and they probably fill up, maybe put an extra garbage can, might even help, I'm not sure. And as for the Frosty Treat there again, in behind, I was out there actually this morning, and a fair amount of garbage along the trail there, I assume coming from either people eating and just leaving it, or no garbage cans.
Well, and with the summer music series at the clock on Friday and Saturday night, that would create some. And then there's also been people with the fry wagon and stuff, and that probably all fills up. So I don't know if they're responsible to clean up some of their garbage or not, but we'll leave that with Mr. Baker to see what can be done. Is that okay with Mr. Baker? You don't mind handling that somehow? All right, Councillor Doucette, I think, was first, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Bonnie. Yeah, thanks, Mr. I almost said Mr. Baker. You want to be called that? Thanks, Your Worship. Holy teasing, Jeff. Yeah, just to talk about the garbage, this is actually aside from Frosty Treat. Jeff, I know we spoke about this before, but the dumpsters over by, in behind like the liquor store area there, those seem to be overflowing as well and kind of full of a mess. Anyway, I did have actually some residents, or a couple actually residents on School Street contacted me about that, as we spoke of, and they still have some garbage kind of blowing over their fence from those. So if we could find a way to move those around, or maybe you might have a plan.
Well, no, I don't have a plan per se. I've got a couple of different versions of the story going on, that's for sure. But I did speak to the landlord on Friday. That particular dumpster is used by the Willow Bakery. And so what they are telling him is that the public are using it. So people are coming along in their cars and stuff and finding an open dumpster and tossing stuff in there. I was also told by somebody else that maybe the landlord hadn't arranged for it to be picked up at this point. He confirms that he has arranged to have it picked up. He did order a couple of locks to put on them. Hopefully that stops people from
Location for that, it seems to.
yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. One thing that he requested we consider that I haven't put any thought into at this point is maybe fencing in the area so that it's not accessible by the public and maybe the truck has got to enter a gate to get in there. I'm not sure we want to go down that road at this point. So we'll continue to work on getting that area cleaned up for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McCray.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just thought of this, that on the weekend, I got a couple of phone calls from some residents about Chances. And Chances is closing their daycare and going to a pre-K. And there's no summer programs or anything going on. But rumor has it, which I would like to clarify or like to know, is that the Boys and Girls Club is trying to set something up in Kensington. And MLA Matthew McKay is kind of working on something with the Boys and Girls Club. So has the town been approached about this Boys and Girls Club coming to Kensington and we're supporting it?
Yes.
We have been approached?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't know, and when I was asked, I felt...
I can't give you any information that's specific, but I can tell you that I know I've been invited to a meeting that's going to be actually held right here in the council chambers here this week with a bunch of interested parties to see what can be done. And this discussions with the Boys and Girls Club has been going on for a year or 2 years. I'm not sure when it started. It's been a while. So this is not the first discussion.
Okay,
So, other than saying, yes, we are part of the discussion, what it's all going to mean, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know any more than that there's interested parties coming together this week with Mr. McKay. He's called the meeting and he's got some party coming in, including government.
Okay.
And hopefully something will come out of it. And it's all stemming from the closing of the after-school program at the school. That's what stimulated the pushing it forward again, because there has been past discussions on it, on facilities. What the Boys and Girls Club do want to do something in Kensington, and it's just a matter of getting what programs, facilities, and everything else. That's part of the whole process. So I can't give you any more specifics because I don't have any specifics. I'm not trying to keep something from you. I don't have specifics to give you other than there's a meeting this week, and hopefully out of that something will go
come
to another step and another step and eventually there'll be something hopefully that I can say, hey, guess what? We got something to tell you. But it's not something that the town would be doing directly, but we're certainly supportive of something happening.
so you will keep us updated on
So
what's going on?
when I know something that I can report,
Okay,
I
because
will.
I'd rather hear it from you than the people off the street.
yeah, well, I mean, I can't tell you something until I got
No.
something. There can be conversations going off the street, which are all kinds of rumors. I'm not going to tell you something until it's, the only thing I can tell you right now, there's a meeting this week with some interested parties.
Okay,
After that, there may be something, but there may be further discussions before I can even tell you then. So, and I'm not going to tell you something that I can't stand behind and support, and that you're aware of, because it's easy to say stuff. It's another thing to back it up. Do you have anything else? That's basically where that's where.
I mean, I think the rumors are stemming from a Facebook post that was made on the weekend by Matt McKay that indicated he was working on something and that the Boys and Girls Club were involved and we were involved, and I can't remember what term, but other community partners maybe.
And I am aware of that because that discussion took place Friday around noon, I think it was. And then I had a meeting with Mr. McKay I think 2 or 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon, and he asked if we could have the meeting here, and I said yes. So that's where we are, and I'm hoping to find out. I don't know if we're going to have any plan. I think it's discussion on what potentially can happen and where it can happen, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't want to start rumors because that's not fair.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Wish I could tell you more, but I can't. All right. Any other matters, Council? Councilor Mann.
Oh, thank you, Worship. Just more around the gazebo in our new little area down there. I don't know if it would be feasible or not if we had maybe power on one of those poles there, because there's extension cords run everywhere. Wednesday night, they run everywhere where people are walking as well. Like, we had an extension cord on our freezer for Canada Day, but the extension cord was too light for the compressor that I deal with equipment.
Extension cords for what?
Well, they're running power over to where underneath the awnings.
The canopies are?
Where the canopies are. And that's wherever, like that. Last Wednesday night, the people are walking up through there and walking over the cords and stuff as well.
Across the trail, you mean?
Yeah, they're coming up from the parking lot,
Oh.
in behind, coming up the steps,
Okay.
between the gazebo and the thing. And Holman's had cords running through there to their freezer. I didn't know if it would be cost effective or even feasible if we could have the proper power on one of the poles, which we can turn off and on probably somewhere in the gazebo or the washroom.
All right, we'll have
So-
Mr. Baker do his
Yeah.
engineering and.
Like, we had a 100-foot cord on it, and I can tell you, working with equipment all the time, there wasn't very much amperage getting to that freezer we had, so
All right, okay.
it's hard
All
on
right,
them.
we'll let Mr. Baker do his thing.
It may not be cost effective.
Well, he'll find a way. All right, any other matters? Hearing none, we'll move right along to correspondence. The first item of correspondence is a thank you from Sandy Clark and family on the donation that we made to the Kensington United Church in memory of Ken. Ken's was our town lawyer for many, many, many years, and so we made a donation on the town's behalf. The second is a correspondence from the Prince County Hospital and thanking us for our continued contribution to the Prince County Hospital Foundation. So we'll receive those, and the third one is a new correspondence that just came out this afternoon, or this morning, and hopefully you got it. That's a request from the organizers of the, let me get it right here now. David, where is it say on here? Oh, it's not, okay, the Danny Hughes, right. Softball tournament, and they're requesting the town waive. So if the town is agreeing to waive, what that means is the town would make a decision to contribute the cost of that to the Credit Union Center. So, and we have waived that or covered the cost of that memorial tournament every year. Council, what is your wish? Deputy Mayor Spencer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I thought we had a discussion back 5 or 6 months ago when we changed the way we were going to do some funding there, that we would have to have a larger discussion on waiving fees for anything.
Yep.
And I don't recall where that discussion went, or if we fully completed that discussion yet.
A lot of that had to do with the ice rental, for one thing. This amount of this, I think is what, $250? I think it's $250, I think is what and this is the softball memorial tournament, and it's a fundraiser for other young athletes. Your point is well taken, that when it comes to requests for ice rentals, I know there was a discussion on that. I don't think we got feedback from the softball and baseball associations, but that is one of the things. Councilor McRae?
I would like to recommend that we waive the fees, especially when they're going to put the money towards two youth to pay for their expenses.
All right,
For-
just before you're not making, I want to get,
Sorry.
because Councilor Toombs want to have a comment.
I think what we're doing is we'll pay the fees, make the donation,
Yeah.
pay the fees. That's what that's what we're doing, right? That's kind of what we've
Yeah, if
kind
you're
of
going to
decided
make
to
a
do
motion,
that.
if you're making a motion, the motion will be that the town of Kensington will cover the cost of the
Yes.
rental of the fees.
Okay.
So was that your comment that you were going to make?
Yes.
Okay.
That's just-
All right, go ahead then.
Okay, so I'm,
Is there any other discussion first before there's any motions? Yes, Councillor, or Deputy Mayor Spencer.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not opposed to making a donation to this. I just think that we need to have that full discussion. And if that's what we're doing, we'll have to communicate to the softball association and the minor hockey and all the users down there, the figure skating, that there can't be more donations from town hall to cover fees because we're already upping the amount that we're putting into the whole complex. And now, I mean, we're running our sidewalk budget on 5 or 6 slabs a summer because we have no money left after this donation. We took it all out of the repairs, and we're seeing what, some of the issues we have there with sidewalks, so.
Yeah, and I think what the plan was that we were going to look at each one on its own individual basis, and depending on what it was for, whether they were profit raising operations or fundraisers, that it might be treated different. So that's one of the things that we never made a blanket rule that we were never going to do anything. It was that we were going to look at each one individually, and that going forward we may not be as receptive because we may not have the funds. And you're correct, we have limited ability to donate as well. And this one here is strictly the softball, not the ice rentals. Any other discussion, council? All right, in that case, what is your wish?
I'll move that we that we make the donation for the use of the fields for the tournament. Is that how you want it?
Yeah, I think it would be a motion that the town of Kensington donate
We cover the cost for the use of the
waiving
fields?
of the fee for this tournament.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that? Second by Councilor McCray. All right, any further discussion now, council? And I think it's $250, but I'm not sure. Mr. Baker's trying to find out right now. Any discussion, council? Well, hearing none, we'll tell you after how much it is. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's $2,500. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I think Robert said that it was $250. I'm not sure.
Ball fields are not running too much, or not running lights or,
Yeah.
ice and acre or anything, so.
Yeah. All right, that is all the items that I had. If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor McCray. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. It is 8:16 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
$125 plus HST per day.
And it's 2 days.
2 days.
So $250 plus HST. All right.